I didn't play much of Mists of Pandaria Remix because I just didn't have a desire to really get into it. And there's a lot of things that, transmogs and stuff, it was okay. It was okay. I enjoyed Mists of Pandaria when it was out. I had fun playing it, but the remix event, it was fine. I dabbled in it. I didn't really get too much in it. Legion Remix now. Legion Remix is intriguing for one reason and one reason only, and that was the legendary appearances. All the legendaries had some badass appearances, and right now my main, my DK, I played it through Legion, but there's some appearances that I still wish I could go back and get. If Blizzard allows us to get those Legion artifact weapon appearances, that's going to be a game changer, and I'm definitely going to play this. So let's see what Taliesin and Evitel have to say about how Legion Remix will use artifact weapons again. Here we go.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here. Today we are talking the future. The year 2025. Picture the scene. You take the flying bus home from your job at the factory.
Achilles, 21 months. Oh my god.
Hey
oh
now,
my god.
Let's dance.
Death Knight of our Scourge. Thank you so much, Achilles, one of the OGs
We
out
shove
there.
old museum exhibits into a blast furnace to power the Uber AI, get back to your apartment, take part in the compulsory 2-minute LOL where all citizens must sit and laugh at World President Musk's really funny new memes, and then you fire
President
up
Musk.
World of Warcraft and log into Remix Legion. Because during the Warcraft 30th Anniversary Direct, we were presented with a whole roadmap for next year, and everything we've got to look forward to in it, including...
Man, next year's going to be so damn hype. It's going to be so hyped. At the end of the summer, we're getting the freaking expansion reveal for Midnight. That feels so soon. That feels so quick. We're going to get everything that's coming in Midnight. Full-on expansion reveal and everything. That's going to be so cool. And then you're heading into, probably what's going to be some pre-launch stuff with the housing and everything. And Legion Remix. Man, there's going to be so much to do at that time. What a great time to be a WoW player.
Player housing! Goblins, Visions of N'Zoth again, player housing, the reveal of next expansion and chapter in the World Soul Saga, Midnight, player housing, and right at the very end of the year, this rather cryptic glowing green tinge on the timeline. Seemed a bit meaningful, that, and I think it's fair to say that most people theorized it represented the glowing fell goodness of the Legion version of Remix Mists of Pandaria.
Right.
We got
and we were right.
Is there any chance on the horizon we can see something like Legion Remix maybe later in the future?
There's some fell green tinge towards the right end of the
is.
roadmap. If you take a look at the banner there, who knows what that could mean.
Yeah.
So there we have it. At the end of 2025,
Confirmed.
assuming any of us are still alive, we will be getting World of Warcraft Remix Legion. And this is very, very exciting indeed. Partly because the remix format is really great anyway, partly because we've had a chance now to see what works well and not so well from our adventures in Pandaria,
Right.
but most of all because Legion as an expansion offers us some unique opportunities for remix fun that Blizzard must not miss. Ian's been very clear about how they want to hear feedback and ideas about player housing in the coming
It's going to be interesting to see how they do. There probably won't be an AP grind in Legion Remix. That would just not be fun. Why? Who the hell would want to redo that? But the way they use the bronze tokens and stuff in Mists of Pandaria, if you can use that to get Legion, Legion legendary skins, to purchase them, grind those out, get that stuff done. Legion had some of the best transmog too ever put in the game. I still say that till now. Legion had amazing transmog. The Nighthold has some of the best looking tier sets in the game still. So if I can go in there, use my bronze bullions or whatever the fuck those things were called, and buy artifact weapon appearances and some tier sets, man, I'm in. I'm in for that.
12 months. Well, this is my feedback and ideas about Legion Remix and how it could and should be the best remix of them all. Okay? Go, 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 go. Remix Pandaria. Mists of Pandaria Remix was one of those sneaky little surprise packages that cropped up during Dragonflight like Plunderstorm before it. And just like Plunderstorm, it was a completely new way to play the game, pretty much separate from the main retail experience. So you'd have to create a new character who would then be entrusted by the Bronze Dragonflight to go back in time and observe the events of the Mists of Pandaria expansion. An incredibly important job that absolutely must not fail because the whole fate of the universe could depend on these observations, which is why they're sending a level 1 punk-ass shaman to get it done, albeit empowered by the Threads of Fate upgrades and special gear that drops throughout the experience.
Here's the thing, the Threads of Fate upgrade turned you into a God mode player, right? Like this just made you full on, oh my god, you're going to destroy everything in the game. And that was fun, right? It kind of broke the game, made it a little bit fun to do.
Threads of Fate
but the thing is, if you stack this with what was a God mode of Legion artifacts and what they could be at the end of Legion, oh my, you're going to literally sunder the planet in half when you do a freaking ability. If you stack something like this with Legion artifacts, end of game Legion artifacts, the game's going to be broken. You're going to see some crazy shit going on.
And special gear that drops throughout the
those
experience.
are my kids upstairs.
The opening scenarios of the X-Pack were pretty true to the original before that new borrowed power really kicked in. And it wasn't long before you were leveling at lightning quick pace, getting gear with special ability gem things to slot into them, and watching your core stats go through the roof as you quested, dungeoned, scenarioed, and raided to get all that good stuff, as well as bronze for upgrading the gear further and buying all the sweet cosmetics, which were really the point of all of this, as well as the achievements that would then allow you to buy certain special things. So straight up, here were the things that were cool about Mists of Pandaria Remix. 1. Pandaria. It was genuinely brilliant to be back in one of the all-time great expansions.
And for Legion, it's going to be Take Me Back to Suramar. Take me back to Suramar. I can't wait. I would love to see it again in its Legion glory. It's a freaking great city. Best city they ever put in the game, and I can't wait to go back and see it. Yes, kids do add ambience to the house for sure.
It's arguably the most atmospheric
it's
WoW
nice. It's never quiet.
ever, but definitely the most visually distinct and unique. Just to have the excuse of existing in that world again, soaking up those vibes and music, having a real reason to complete the storylines of each zone to unlock new cosmetics and other rewards, it was awesome. And because the remix gameplay style is so bonkers and kind of not representative of the normal WoW experience, it didn't even step on Mist of Pandaria Classic's shoes either. If anything, it just whet the player's appetite for it even more. Power.
Oh, damn. Wait, he's right. Right after that, we got Pandaria Classic. Does that mean we're going to go straight to... if we get Legion Remix, I would think it's almost a guarantee at that point we're going to get Legion Classic. That feels like the next step, considering that's what they did with Pandaria. Now, are they going to give us WoD Classic before it? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about the player's appetite for WoD Classic, but we'll have to wait and see.
Their upgrade system had its controversies,
Relive
which we'll
WoD.
get into in a moment, but the overall sense of overpoweredness that the players were given was vital to the remix experience and felt great. Much as I loved the idea of drinking deep from the Pandaria content well again, I was also thankful that I could do it at top speed and with the strength of an absolute monster baller. One of the most important decisions that Blizz made, in my opinion, was to allow dragon riding, dynamic flying.
Yeah, this will be cool in Legion.
Off, so players could whiz off and just get stuff done. And yeah, so from very early on, we weren't exactly appreciating those exquisite dungeons and raids so much as blasting through them without a second thought, but that's okay. Rewards. Having basically every transmog, weapon appearance, mount, pet, toy, and trinket from the entire expansion on...
This is the entirety of the reason why you play Remix. Why the hell else would you play a Remix version of it if it's not for the rewards? So definitely, that's why I think Legion Remix is so intriguing, because I feel like the rewards from Legion Remix could be freaking amazing. What about the mythic Fel mount that dropped off of Gul'dan, the Red Boy? Oh my god, if they make that available in some way, shape, or form. Did they make mythic mounts from Pandaria available? I'd have to go back and check, because if they did, if that mythic Red Boy Fel mount, the one that drops off of Mythic Gul'dan, is made available in some way, shape, or form, I'm gonna need to get that thing. All the mounts were. Okay, yeah, that's a great one. Oh my god, I'm gonna need that.
Vendors to buy with bronze.
Because I'm a blood DK, that Red Boy, I'm riding on it? Oh, shit.
And gave players a tangible objective
That's
to
a good
aim
one.
for, which would be different for everyone. Adding some unique goodies like recolors of the Trading Post class set appearances, which could only be unlocked for purchase by completing the max level campaign zones, and other brand new stuff for completing a certain number of new zone achievements. And you are looking at an expansion spanning collectathon, the likes of which we have never seen before. Even the super rare Tusks of Manaroth transmog shoulders could be be bought, albeit with a set
That's
number
true.
of Garrosh raid kills on top of the bronze. This item...
I wonder what the equivalent of this would be in Legion. What would be the equivalent of the Manaroth tusks? I don't know. Mage Tower appearances, maybe, but those will they're probably going to relaunch Mage Tower with the remix. That's probably going to happen. What would be the equivalent of the Manaroth tusks? I have to think a little bit more about it.
which I have over 1,000 kills on my account
Satire
for,
shoulders?
and which have never dropped for me. I have them now, and I'm going to be honest, it feels very cool.
Mage Tower
I'm happy
weapons,
with
I
that,
think.
Yes.
That's
The
what I was thinking.
timing of Remix was another thing that had going for it, coming as it did right where you'd usually be looking forward to a content drought before a new expansion.
You know what would be kind of cool if it was Illidan's what's it called, Warglaives, and those are still like a rare thing that you have to go farm kind of with time walking stuff. Maybe they make Illidan's Warglaives available in some shape or form. That would be kind of cool.
Dragonflight Season 4 was in its closing stages. All eyes were looking
Khadgar's
forward to
underwear.
new expansion, War Within. Remix did a great job of just giving players a fun excuse to play the game. And honestly, I think that's pretty much all that 90% of players ever need. I only spent about 3 weeks actually playing Remix in the end before I was done, both in terms of getting the rewards I wanted and just I'd had my fun with it. But there is no doubt
That's
it
good.
is
That's
a
what it should
great
be.
way to end an expansion and keep players engaged. Lovely. Alright, what was the bad about Remix? Well, not loads.
The bronze issues. You guys remember the fucking literal like arms race between players finding broken ways to farm bronze and then Blizzard nerfing those broken ways? It was so funny. Every time Wowhead would post a tutorial on how to like break farm some bronze, all the comments would be, "Well, fuck you, Wowhead, now they're gonna nerf it." Every single time that happened, it would get nerfed like a day or two later. So that was one of the messed up things.
That wasn't sorted out during Miss of Pandaria.
They should have seen
Remix
some of them
itself,
coming.
to be honest. Bronze drop rates were massively increased throughout the run to levels that they always should have been at launch. A recurring theme in many of these events, to the extent that Ian Hazakostas had to actually address it in a recent interview. There was stupidly unbalanced gems that resulted in very annoying meta raid tactics like Word of Salvation stacking. And gem management on gear was horrible, like really horrible, very cluttered and unintuitive and bad, and that was sorted too. By add-ons, by one of the most beautiful add-ons I have ever seen. Which, okay,
What is
that's
this
not a
add-on?
tick for Blizzard technically, this still sucked, but seriously, look at this add-on. Look how beautiful this is. There were some other annoying niggles that didn't get changed, which you would like to see addressed in future events, like gems not being mailable between ults, and the gear upgrade system itself, which still, understandably, splits community opinion. The fact that it costs the same currency to upgrade your gear, the many, many levels it took to max out and get involved with the highest level of play, was the same currency that you bought the rewards with, which were arguably the...
I mean, I actually thought this was a good thing. I kind of applauded Blizzard for this one, to have one currency that does multiple things. I like that. The thing that people were getting pissed off about during the middle of it was they didn't know that Blizzard was going to back end just give you a shit ton of this bronze. So people got worried that they were going to have to pass up on certain items to upgrade their gear, and then they were picking it. At the end of the day, if you played the Remix event, and with the way they buffed bronze drop rates, you didn't have to choose. You got everything you wanted. But during the time where people thought that was never going to happen, and they were just going to have to pick until the end, yeah, this was a problem.
whole point of the event. That felt weird and contradictory, and like you're always
See, he
losing
doesn't play.
whatever you do. Like, I want to feel good when I upgrade my gear. I don't want to feel like I've sacrificed anything because I could have got a cool dragon instead. Likewise, I don't want to feel stupid for buying a cool dragon because I suspect deep down I really should have spent that bronze upgrading my gear first. It's better in the long run, right? I think there might be a case to be made for these being different currencies. That is very subtle foreshadowing. Remix, Legion. Now, I've said before...
I wouldn't hate it if they just made two currencies. The thing I didn't want was like 36 currencies for freaking Legion remix or Pandaria remix. Like, we already have enough of that crap. Every time we get a patch, we get 10 new currencies in the game. I just didn't want that to happen in remix. Okay, if you want to say silver bullions will buy you gear and then transmog and all that shit, and then bronze will be used to upgrade gear, that'd be fine.
I think Mists of Pandaria is the perfect expansion for the remix concept, and it is. But the second most ideally suited expansion is definitely Legion. Like Mists, it's still held up as one of the best expansions ever. Like Mists, it has a very strong and consistent theme and visual identity. Like Mists, it has some very cool and sought after rewards and collections, which it would be great to have on a vendor for me to buy with bronze. And there are loads of ways in which WoW's greenest expansion can just slot seamlessly into the remix template. It certainly looks like Blizzard are positioning it to fill the gap between the last patches of the War Within and the release of Midnight. The opening scenario of
Now, what's interesting, though, about Legion and Mists of Pandaria is Legion had Mythic Plus. And I'm guessing they wouldn't. There's no way they're going to do a Mythic Plus remix. See, that'd be fucking ridiculous. But how they scale the dungeons and stuff, it's already the code. Everything's already in there. So it'd be interesting to see how that whole system works.
The Broken Shore works as a standardized intro into the action, and it's different for Horde and Alliance. Just like the opening scenarios of Mists, you could argue that the questing and story component of Legion is actually better suited to remix than Mists was, because the Broken Isles 4 leveling zones were designed to be approached in any order thanks to the new level scaling technology introduced for it. Like Mists, Legion expands into other new zones at max level, or lower than max level in Remix's case, which can have achievements attached to them that unlock event rewards. Mists did this with the Isle of Thunder and the Timeless Isle. Legion has the Broken Shore and, even better, Argus with its 3 mini zones.
That was a great
full of
patch.
cool stuff. Legion has less dungeons and raids than Mists and doesn't have any scenarios, but it does have daily world quests and Legion Invasion.
Yeah, you had to say it, Bert Dorito. Can I just say they did Tyrion wrong, man? They did Tyrion so wrong with that intro quest line where he just gets thrown into the fell lava by a fucking mid-tier raid boss. He was a freaking Nighthold. He was like the 4th or 5th boss in Nighthold. He wasn't even the end boss. And he just tosses Tyrion into the fucking lava, and this is the same guy who helped us defeat the Lich King. Come on. That was sad. They did him wrong.
Events and invasion portals, which would give players a
Tyrion deserved better.
daily source of bronze without having to run those same instances over and over. All of that Legion content is going to work just fine in the current remix setup, but Legion has so much else going on too, which Blizz can either choose to basically ignore or even disable, which is fair enough, and something they did with Mists. The whole scouring of the Veil was not a thing in remix. We did not start in the gold and pristine veil that all the characters are talking about all the time and get to see it change like the Mists Classic kids will be able to. The developers obviously thought that was too much work to implement or couldn't work with the remix formula, and there are similar features and content with Legion that they might do the same with. The Broken Shore contributions to activate the 3 different building operations, for example, seems like an obvious thing.
I think Mage Tower will just be like a patch, like, okay, Mage Tower goes live today, guys, get in there and do Mage Tower in the remix version. That'll probably be the way it's done. I doubt they're gonna have to unlock it. That's ridiculous, especially for such like a short timeline. I forgot how long remix was. I want to say it was 8 weeks, but I don't exactly remember. It's not that long, so there won't be a Mage Tower build-up. They'll probably just open it up.
It just isn't going to be a part of Legion Remix. But there are some other features of this expansion
Was it
that
3
I
months?
really hope they do find a way to include, because I think that with just a little bit of effort and tweaking, they could actually work brilliantly in this remix format. Class order halls and artifact weapons. Class halls and artifacts were a compulsory part of the OG Legion experience. After the Broken Shore scenario, you were plonked in Dalaran and a dude would start following you around, incessantly making sure you knew that this questline to unlock an artifact was the thing you
there it is. Mop Remix started May 13th and went until August 19th. Yeah, you guys said it in chat. Sorry. So yeah, 3 months. Okay, 3 months. Bots can't read. All right, guys. Jesus Christ. You guys are so unforgiving.
To do, and that the game functionally would not progress without it. Even in Chromie time, when you get to Dalaran for the first time, you have to complete an artifact quest and set up your order hall so that you can select which zone to start questing in from the mission table. And this, in my opinion, should stay the same. The class identity of Legion was such a fundamental part of the expansion's whole raison d'etre, it would be sacrilege for Legion Remix to disable them or pretend that they don't exist. They have to be in there. They should be a mandatory opening part of Remix for any new character.
They're core to everything Legion.
I remember.
So I can't imagine them removing the class things. But also at the same time, the remix stuff might be a good way to go back and see some of the different class quests, because for a lot of us, we didn't do every single class quest. Legion was the most unfriendly alt expansion to ever exist. So a lot of people just played one, maybe two classes max, and then within each class there were different spec quests as well. So the remix thing could be a fun way to explore all the different quest lines that maybe you missed because you never played Shadow Priest and you want to see what the Zalateth quest line looked like or something. That could be a really cool experience. I agree with Tally here. I hope they keep all that stuff intact for remix.
In remix, all characters are new, but then beyond that, like in Chromie Time, order halls at least should be treated as optional story content, like all of the Mist story was. And that's going to mean tweaking basically anything to do with the mission table and order hall resources and follower missions. And man, those order hall quests where you have to do follower missions to progress and it takes like 3 days of waiting, and the order hall talent tree, holy shit, you've forgotten about that, right? And that's good. We should forget about that because all that should be gone. The order hall storylines and the Zera Illidan Chosen One story connected to it should all just be presented as a standard quest chain. All present, all completable in one go. These are quests that hardly anyone has done since the Legion expansion because they are such an effort to run. When
You guys know who that is, right? You guys know who this is. This is, if I could remember his name. Yeah, if I could remember his name. The Simpy Boy. The king right now of Stormwind. Someone give me it. Tyrellian. Yeah, Tyrellian. Yeah, see him. I'm like, you guys know who this is, and I can't even remember his fucking name. This is Tyrellian. This is OG Tyrellian from Legion. He didn't have his own model yet, so he was just a human.
Just be blasting
Regular human
through
model.
High Mountain for the 90th time. So the chance to do
it's
see
Tyrellian.
them all again is exactly the kind of thing that Legion Remix should be encouraging, with rewards to match. More on that later. And you are probably nodding sagely.
Right?
That all seems pretty straightforward, sure. But actually, I've buried the lead a bit here by talking about order halls, haven't I? Because a far bigger question in Legion Remix is the artifact weapons. In Chromie Time, after you've bagged your first artifact and set up your order hall, you are free to progress through the expansion however you like for your leveling, choosing which zone to start in from your order hall mission table. The artifact is a nice new appearance if you didn't have it already, but it doesn't do anything. Any power gains connected to it were disabled at the end of Legion, but during that expansion, artifacts marked the beginning of what is now known as the Borrowed Power era of WoW. Your artifact leveled throughout the game, unlocked new abilities, got stronger and more badass, and you know,
it was fun, man. I enjoyed this a lot. The feeling of just the constant growth, right? Like it's always getting bigger, daddy. Like that was a great feeling. That was a great feeling. And like I remember I was in law school at this time, so I didn't have a lot of time to do raids or anything, but it felt so good to constantly be running Mythic Plus because that shit came out at the time. I would just run that between classes. You know, I'd go down to the library and just do a Mythic Plus real quick in the basement over there. And it was always fun to know that, hey, I'm contributing to something. I'm getting better. My weapon's getting stronger. And that was always really good. Besides that, when they tried to keep re-implementing the AP grind, then it got over the top. I didn't want to do it every single expansion. I just enjoyed it when it was this.
That's a bit like the cloak in Remix Pandaria, isn't it? Where everything we do, every baddie we kill,
it was fun
every
once,
quest
exactly,
or dungeon or raid that we complete drops threads, which...
This is also why, though, that this was the least friendly alt expansion ever. You could not play an alt. You couldn't even fucking respec. Oh my god, the thought of respecking in Legion was like fucking disastrous. I remember I played Fire Mage for the majority, and then I ended up running a DK, and that was when I really got into Death Knights and played it throughout the rest of every expansion. But playing a mage, right, I played Fire, and Fire had its ups and downs at the time, but when it was down, the thought of respecking and getting a new Legion Legendary and then leveling that shit, oh my god. No way, I couldn't get myself to do it.
Levels up our super timey-wimey cloak and is one of the reasons we get so uber powerful. Why can't that be our artifact in Legion Remix instead? Making your weapon where all your huge power gains go instead of a cloak is obvious and will help to recapture the feel of Legion, but I think we can do more than that, because I say we use it to fix an issue with Mist's Remix at the same time and merge the gear upgrade system into it as well. Most obviously, this would mean it's where all of your gems go. Artifact UIs already have loads of nodes on them from Legion. Just make those gem slots that you whack everything into instead of some on your hat, some on your gloves, and some on all the different parts.
This would actually be a far superior system. This is great. Taliesin's cooking here. This is great. Yeah, just put all the gems on the weapons. If you don't do a whole AP grind, just do that gem grind that you had from the original remix of Mists of Pandaria. Put them all in the weapon. Don't have it on all the other gear. That's perfect.
Parts of your armor that you have to go through the
It's a great idea.
swapping out every time you get new gear. No, this sucked. Everyone hated it. Make it all centralized on the artifact instead. A huge improvement from the Finickety Mists remix approach, in my opinion. But also, I would go even further. I would make an argument for making all of your gear upgrades part of artifact progression 2. So instead of spending bronze on improving your gear item level, piece by piece, level by level, and not being able to spend that bronze on cool ass rewards, tie that increasing gear item level to artifact power instead. Every time you collect a certain amount of threads of fate, all those base stats connected to the artifact, like they were the cloak, go up as usual, but also at certain thresholds, all of your gear is set at certain upgrade levels as well.
This is a great idea. Yeah, just make the entirety of the remix your Legion legendary, because that's what Legion was all about. It's about the legendary. It's about, I mean, your artifact weapon, I should say. Make it all about the artifact weapon. Attach the item level upgrades to it. Attach the gems to it. Bam, you got a great remix event for sure. I don't think people remember how bad Legion was at the start. Everything was ironed out at the end, but at launch it was really bad. I mean, no matter what, you got to remember which expansion preceded Legion, right? It was freaking WoD. And the content drawn of like basically a year of nothing. So when they drip fed us whatever the fuck Legion was, we were ready. And that's why nobody remembers it as having any issues, because my God, it didn't matter. We were fucking blind to it. We were just happy to get something at that point. And Legion Invasions, man, that was one of the best pre-expansion content things they've ever done was Legion Invasions. I love that thing.
To level 2, then 3,
it was hype.
all
The whole
way
thing
up
was
to
hype.
36, as it was in Mists. Make it happen automatically and passively as part of your artifact leveling up when you collect Threads of Fate, freeing up all of that bronze to be just what you spend on the cosmetic rewards. So the remix artifact weapon can be better than the cloak in Mists remix, but actually it can be better than the artifact in Legion too, because obviously we're going to make the progress all 3 artifacts for your class, all 4 if you're a druid, character wide. If you're at level 12 on your Beast Mastery artifact, you're at level 12 on your Marksman and Survival artifacts too. They are functionally the same, because the way Legion worked is dumb. Oh, and also that progress is Legion remix wide too. So if you go start a rogue, then all their artifacts will be at level 12 as well when you pick them up, because that's how we do that shit in WoW now, okay? Artifacts
much
are such
better.
an obvious and
Much
elegant answer to so many of the problems and chaff in Remix Pandaria that to not use them in this way would be negligent, honestly. That raises another obvious question, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
he's right, though. It would be negligent because literally the system's there. Even the fucking UI, it's all ready for them. They just need to change it so you're slotting gems in rather than picking talents. It's perfect. It requires them to do less work, and everything's attached to the artifact weapon, which really was the centerpiece of Legion. So that keeps that whole vibe going. This is great. Telias, a good job, man.
To not use them in this way would be negligent, honestly. That raises another obvious question, doesn't it? What about evokers? They weren't around in Legion. They don't have artifacts or order halls. If you
That's good. That's a good thing. They weren't around in Legion. That's probably why Legion was good.
take an evoker back to that content,
Get the
now
scaly
you
boys
get a
outta here.
mission table to use in Dalaran to choose the zone where you level in, and that's that. But if we are making artifacts a central part of the remix experience,
Oh,
then
shit. Now I see what he's getting at. What's their artifact weapons? Right? They're a completely different class. They didn't have an artifact weapon. Oh, damn it. Make it like Spyro the Dragon's Horn or something. It has to be something like that. Or just a giant scaly dildo, because that's what really scaly boys are all about.
then not having one, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? Yeah,
Scaly
a little
boy
one,
strap-on.
and it is a little simple fix, if not an entirely
Tail spike.
easy one. Just give them an artifact. Design one from scratch, or make it a recolor of their Dragonflight legendary. Draw up a quick leveling tree for it, and have a bronze dragon. Just give it to them.
Ashcumder is one that you could use for sure, right? You can use Ashcumder. That's a fucking legendary weapon held by a legendary dragon. So, I mean, that's an artifact weapon that you could use, and you just use Deathwing as part of the quest line. There you go. It's problem solved.
when they get to Dalaran. You are an observer here, but you'll need this kind of thing. No need to make them a whole acquisition quest like the OG artifacts, or build them an order hall, although that would be great, obviously. That would be amazing. I'd be very into that. I'm just not sure if it's feasible for the amount of work that Blizz would be willing to put into a remix season.
That's an easy one to solve. You make the legendary from Dragonflight the new artifact weapon. True. Not even why I think about that. That's true. Yeah, literally. They already have a fucking legendary. Just turn it into their artifact weapon. You're right.
I really don't think it needs to be any hurdle or roadblock at all, honestly. Argus in the sky. Ooh, right, yeah.
Hey everyone, it's me. Hi, hello. I'm here today to say hi and hello.
Oh,
and
Squarespace
to shout out
time.
Squarespace, who are very graciously sponsoring today's video. I don't know about you, but whenever late November rolls around, I start thinking about Christmas coming up and the year coming to a close, and instead of doing everything I should be doing, I procrastinate. That happened to me this morning when I looked at my to-do list and thought, why don't I update our website merch instead? I've used Squarespace to set up our merch shop before, which was an absolute breeze, but I think we can add a little something to it. So last night I had a dream that I put all the class colors on an embroidered beanie. Don't ask me why. And I was pretty delighted by how easy it was to make my dreams a reality. Thanks to Squarespace's Printful integration, I can design and have merch printed or embroidered on demand. Not only is designing an item as easy as pie, you also get automatically generated mock-ups with extremely cool people to market your product for you, which you can edit even further if you like.
I'm going to put the most horrible thing on that beanie, and then the models wearing it, unbeknownst to themselves, right? They took the picture. It's just like AI implants that put the shit. I'm going to put something fucking horrible on that beanie. And then I'm going to screenshot it. And then I'm going to put it on the internet, on Twitter, and say it's a real thing and just watch the fucking world burn. Yep.
But the thing I love most about
Set
the
it here.
whole process is how instantaneous
Only you guys know my evil
it is.
plan now.
Creating an item on Printful automatically adds it to your Squarespace product list.
Be like, I can't believe Disney put this on their store, and just watch the fucking outrage ensue.
Still need to make some changes to an item or description? You can do that directly on your own site. And on top of all that, your actual website updates with a new product list automatically.
Oh, thanks,
Like
Kit the Mage, for
magic.
reminding me.
I know it's not magic, it's just Squarespace. Do you want a fun and clever way to procrastinate? Maybe by building your own website. Just head to squarespace.com/TaliusInevitell, where you can enjoy 10% off your first purchase of a Squarespace website or domain, or just use code TaliusInevitell if you prefer. That's squarespace.com/TaliusInevitell. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that Rogue Yellow is
Use
at
their
the
code.
bottom of my rainbow graphic and therefore not in alphabetical order. That was 100% on purpose. They were stealthing.
This was such a huge part of Legion's vibe, and I'm guessing that Blizz will put it into the scouring of the veil category of this is not a change to the game world that we will be representing in Remix. And Blizzard, I'm here to say, listen to me, look at me. I'm here to tell you right now, don't do that. That would be a huge waste, wouldn't it? Just make it appear in the sky for players after you complete the Nighthold raid, just like in Legion. You do the raid for the first time, bang, Argus is in the sky for that character. Oh man, it was so awesome. It's iconic.
was
It's cool.
cool.
I miss it. Don't wait for Legion Remix on this one, Blizz. Get that planet there, in the sky, in Remix. Suramar. Yes, we are going to have the full 2-patch spanning Suramar campaign.
Take me back to Suramar, man. What a great, the music. The ambiance, the city felt so alive. The aesthetic, oh, I could have quested there for, and I'm not even a daily guy. I don't even like daily quests, but man, when I saw there were dailies to do in Suramar, you best believe your boy was out there doing them. I love that place.
Entirety. Yes, we're going to take all the rep grinding
Same as a boner.
requirements out of the progression and present it as one long and very cool quest
You
line.
gonna tell me this doesn't look phallic? You gonna tell me this tower right here doesn't look phallic? Come on. They knew what they were doing. Suramar does this to everybody.
That people don't do anymore, so that Remix players can experience it in all its glory once again. Honestly, being able to just play through this story would be one of the main draws of Legion Remix for loads of players, and rightfully so, because it's
Well-timed
awesome.
blurb.
Some of the best endgame content that the game has ever seen. And yes, we're going to unlock a new artifact appearance for doing it, just like we did in Legion, which leads us very nicely to rewards. Legion has so many great rewards that
Easy.
can just appear on the vendor, just like in Miss Remix. But along with all of the mounts and tier sets and toys that you'd expect, and there are loads and they are brilliant, don't forget Legion is the expansion that really introduced what we call now the Legion Glow. Oh, I love the Legion Glow.
Yeah,
Here are some things that I would make sure are there on the vendor as well. The Ghost Moose mount and all of the cool toys that
Can I just say one thing about Legion legendaries and the quest lines and everything? I think it'd be really cool if Blizzard just did a little like token thing, like out of nowhere, where if you do the Xal'atath Shadow Priest quest line, she somehow, like, her current model appears in the quest line and kind of like laughs like, oh, you're here doing this, and okay, fine, you're wasting your time, just to let you know I'm still fucking shit up in the other world. Have a good time, though, with the Xal'atath stuff. I'll see you around. Like, I think that would just be so cool. Just like a little like banter with her. Like she knows what you're doing. She kind of sees, looking back in the past, she can see other timelines, and it'd just be cool. I think it'd be a cool little cookie that like the WoW community would go nuts over.
Part of the Legion archaeology quest lines. There's loads. Get them in there. The Xavius shoulders, because obviously all of the class mounts, no matter the class,
the class
of course.
mounts,
So
I forgot.
yeah, you can buy the priest mount on your Remix Death Knight character, even if only priests can use it. Maybe being able to buy these is a reward for completing a full Order Hall campaign, so there is still an unlock involved. All in all, exactly like the class set appearances in Remix Pandaria.
It's a foot thing.
Legion legendaries. You could get old trinkets in Remix Pandaria, and I think, and I know this is going to be controversial, but I think all of the class legendaries should be available and usable
100%.
in Remix.
Yeah, you should be able to buy the best legendary. That was a big thing in Legion at first when they first came out, was like, oh, you and your random drop, are you going to get the best in slot legendaries or not? That's obviously should not be a thing in Remix. You just buy the best ones and go full God mode.
Legion. Some of them will need slight alterations if the spell they impact doesn't exist anymore, or if the effect has become baseline or whatever. But honestly, looking through a list now, it seems that very few, if any, will need that treatment. Also, there were Pandaria Remix gems that could just straight up give you an ability that you already had as part of your class, and it wouldn't be much different from that. I don't care how unbalanced it is, I think it would be dope. And since all the gems and gear upgrades are now attached to your artifact, there's all the gear slots that you'd need for them. All of the class artifact appearances available for purchase,
Awesome.
again, no matter your class.
Yes.
So all of those appearances and secret appearances and
Yes.
recolors for all those appearances, put them on the vendor. And I know
Yep.
what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, all of the appearances? Like the Mage Tower appearances too? Well, yeah, actually. It's been 6 years or so since those appearances disappeared from the game. I am a player who has nearly all of them from the time, and I am...
And I know this is good. That's going to lead to outrage, right? People are going to say, but I did it. I did the Mage Tower. Fuck these people getting it from Remix. But the same thing could have been said about a lot of the mop stuff. So give it to people? Sure.
Here saying to you, yes, let people buy them with Remix Bronze when the time comes. It's fine. We will live. We will be okay. I'm not as against time-limited rewards as many people are. I think there's something kind of cool about some very rare appearances being a you had to be there kind of deal. I think there is room for that in the rich tapestry of WoW gear and rewards. So if I'm completely honest, I would like it best if they were slight recolors of the OG appearances. So that
I agree with that. Yeah, make them slight recolors. That would differentiate them better. It would give, still the skill that it took to get the Mage Tower done, still gives you that. Because to me, like these super rare items that, people get mad if they show up at some point later on, I don't care if that item was based on RNG. If the item was based on RNG, you're not cooler than anybody else for having it. You just got lucky, okay? The things that I think should remain loyal to the time period, like you had to be there items as he described, are like things that require high levels of skill, like a gladiator mount. Like any season of a gladiator mount, when you see somebody on that mount, you're like, that guy, his balls are hanging on each side of the mount. That's how big they are. Just massive balls. And that should be always that way. Nobody else should be able to come in, buy it off the WoW store, buy it off the trading post, buy it. That should be a limited time. You were there, you showed the skill, you got the item. And that's kind of how Mage Tower items are. So I do agree. Color vary them. That's better. So that way you can still have you were there, you were the skill moments when you equip them. But other than that, just let people get them. Let people who didn't have a chance to get them, get them.
My originals remain recognizable and unique, but honestly, I wouldn't be against the existing color variants being sold if that's how it turns out. I've had 8 years of my hot pink Discipline Wings staff, I can't really complain. The big question for me is, will you unlock the ability to buy those appearances
by doing the Mage Tower?
By completing a Remix Mage Tower? Well, Mage Tower. I set out with this video desperate.
It would be a tough one for them to make really hard unless they nerf you a lot, because you're going to be so overpowered in Remix. Part of the challenge of Mage Tower was that it could kill you, and you're so overpowered, you're really unkillable at the end of a Remix event. So how they do it, that'd be interesting.
Trying to make Mage Tower work in a Legion remix. It's such an iconic and legendary bit of content that it seems criminal to me not to have a remix version for players to enjoy.
But there's like broken abilities and different things that you can do in remix that you can't do in the regular game. So I don't know. It'd be a tough one. They might not do that. They might just give you a Mage Tower, you go do it, it's pretty easy, and you get the items.
I have to admit, whatever ideas I come up for it, nothing feels satisfying. Power gains, which are half the fun of Remix, would make the challenge a nothing burger to complete. So you'd have to have a standard
Mage Tower's
class
easy for me.
gear
I don't gotta do it
template
right
for
now.
each spec that goes in there, which would work, but then it would have to be basically stupidly easy, so everyone is capable of completing it with the same gear, and that kind of defies the whole point of the Mage Tower, right? Goes against the whole ethos, and the standardized gear thing, and it being very easy, is the most likely scenario, I know. And then completing Mage Tower on your remix character would allow you to purchase all of the Mage Tower appearances and recolors. It makes sense, but I just don't love it. And it kind of betrays why I have such great memories of the Mage Tower in the first place. The hours of attempts on classes I hadn't even played before in some cases. The fail and get up and go again boss fight feel of it would be gone, and that would be a shame. My position on the remix Mage Tower is, I don't know. I genuinely would love to hear your opinions on whether it should be included and how it would work in the comments. I'm leaning towards it still exists in the game right now, maybe don't bother with it in Remix. Likewise, Mythic Plus, another huge Legion innovation.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think you can meaningfully bring back Mage Tower the right way. With the way it was perfectly set, that the way everyone's gear was, the way it scaled everything, that it was a challenge. And you had to use like all of your toolkit to be able to survive a lot of the stuff that was going on in the Mage Tower. To use the gems and the different toolkit that you get in this, it would be weird. It would be like it'd be like leaving Remix for a minute. Like the second you enter Mage Tower, you're no longer in a remixed version of the game, but that already exists in the retail game. So they probably don't do Mage Tower. They probably don't. Or they make it like some kind of fun quest where you go do it, but it's like an easier version, and then you unlock the ability to buy some of the recolored Mage Tower weapons.
I just don't know if there's room for it in a remix. Look, there were complaints when the gear progression system in Pandaria invited huge amounts of unnecessary toxicity in what should have been a chill event. Can you imagine running Cathedral of Eternal Night plus 15? Probably not a great idea, no.
Yeah.
And there you have it. My plan for Legion Remix.
It's a good one.
What do you think? Has my rugged insistence on including certain Legion fundamentals ruined the entire thing? Or do you like my ideas? What would you do differently? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make
good people.
all of our work happen. Patrons, seriously, thank you, because without you, there'd be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evertel. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Tyrion Fordring. Why didn't he just bubble half? No, my name is Taliesin from me and Evertel. Until next time.
They did him wrong.
Cheerio.
They totally did him wrong. You guys remember when he said, "My name is Samiccus"? Yeah, I remember. I'll never forget it. Yeah, great video from Taliesin. Nice one. I agree with a lot of his points, and I do think the Legion artifact weapon does set them up perfectly. Absolutely perfectly to have all those remix systems implemented. Just put them on the artifact weapon. I think all in all, Legion Remix will actually be more fun and more exciting than Mists of Pandaria Remix was, because the items in Legion were so damn good. It'll be a good time, I think. And you'll get to do some of those quest lines that you never did before, because there were a lot of them for every spec and class out there.